A battery ages on two clocks at once, and you add them together. The first is the calendar clock. It ticks whenever the battery just sits there doing nothing. No use, no current, but that thin protective skin inside, the SEI, keeps quietly eating lithium. So just owning a battery costs you. The second is the cycle clock. It ticks only when you actually use the battery, charging and draining it. That adds cracking inside the electrodes and the risk of lithium plating out as dead metal. Using a battery ages it faster, but remember, the calendar clock never stops either. Two things make the calendar clock run hot, literally. Heat. As a rough rule, the damage roughly doubles for every 10 degrees you go above 25. And a full charge, when a cell is full, the chemistry sits right where SEI grows fastest. So the worst place to leave a battery is full and warm, both villains pushing at once. A cell stored full and hot can be worn out in under 3 years. So how do we store one right? Let's turn that into rules you can actually use. Storage first. So, leave a cell sitting at 40% charge for a year, and at 25 degrees, it still keeps about 96% of itself. But leave it at 60 degrees, hot, and it keeps only 75%. Now store it full instead. At 25 degrees, you drop to 80%, and full and hot, you can lose 40% in just months. So the rule is simple. Store it cool, store it around 40 to 60% charge, and check on it every few months. Never park a battery full and warm. Now, how deeply you drain it each time matters too. Small, shallow swings last far longer because they cause less cracking inside. Take a typical cell, drain it fully every cycle, and you might get 300 cycles. Use only 40% of it each time, and you might get 1,000. Use just 20%, maybe 2,000. The exact numbers vary by cell, but the pattern is dramatic. This is the whole idea behind the 20 to 80 rule on your phone and your car. That one habit can nearly double your battery's life. Here is the curve that keeps battery engineers up at night. For most of a battery's life, its capacity fades slowly and steadily, almost a straight line down. That's the gentle SEI theft we've been tracking. It looks harmless, then sometimes the line suddenly bends and plunges, and the cell dies fast. We call that bend the knee, and it catches people off guard. What causes it? Not the slow, polite SEI. Researchers have found several different culprits, and most share one nasty habit. Some hidden problem grows quietly, then snowballs. Lithium plating is the classic. For a long time, it's almost invisible, building up unseen, until suddenly it runs away. By the time it shows up in the capacity number, the knee is already here. This is why you can't just draw a line through that gentle early fade and trust it. It can look like years of life are left, right up until the floor drops out from under you. The early part tells you almost nothing about when the knee hits. So how do we spot the thief coming? We can diagnose aging without ever cracking the battery open. Start with impedance, which just means how hard the battery pushes back against the current you send through it. As the battery ages, that pushback rises, and higher pushback means you have to shove harder to move the same current, which wastes voltage, so the usable power drops and the apparent capacity drops with it. We measure this with a test called EIS, short for electrochemical impedance spectroscopy. The trick? We send in current that wiggles at many different speeds, fast to slow, and the battery's different parts respond at different speeds, so they sort themselves out. The fast wiggles reveal the plain wiring resistance. Slower ones reveal the SEI skin. Slower still, the chemistry at the surface. The slowest reveal lithium crawling through the solid. As the cell ages, all of these grow. A common rule for calling a battery dead on power, its internal pushback has doubled. And capacity loss and rising pushback almost always go hand in hand. But to name exactly which problem is killing it, we need a sharper fingerprint. Here's the detective's tool. It's called DQDV, but the idea is simple. As a battery charges, its voltage rises in flat steps, and those flat parts hide what's happening inside. So we zoom in on how fast capacity changes as voltage changes, and those flat steps turn into sharp peaks, a fingerprint of the battery's chemistry. Now watch how aging smudges that fingerprint, because our two kinds of damage leave different marks. Remember, lithium can simply be lost, or the active material itself can be lost. When lithium is lost, the peaks slide sideways, but keep their shape. Sideways slide means leaking lithium. When material is lost, a peak shrinks, getting shorter and smaller, fading in place instead of sliding. Shrinking means material is dying. Roughly speaking, a sliding peak means lithium is leaking away. A shrinking peak means the material itself is dying. The real picture has more nuance, but that's the heart of it. From outside the sealed cell, we can read which thief is winning. One catch: this only works when you measure slowly and gently, push hard and fast, and the peaks smear into fake signals. But measure gently, and the battery confesses exactly how it's dying. Let me show you why batteries are quietly amazing. With one number, Coulombic efficiency. That's just the fraction of lithium you get back out compared to what you put in. Every single cycle, you get back a tiny bit less than you gave. Say you lose just 0.02% each cycle, so you get 99.98% back. That sounds basically permit, but here's the catch. It adds up. Lose that tiny sliver every cycle for 1,000 cycles, and you've quietly bled away about 18% of your battery, right at the edge of being worn out. That's why a long-lived battery needs to return well above 99.9% every time, an incredible demand. The thief only ever steals crumbs, but it never skips a meal, and the crumbs add up to the whole loaf, and this one number ties the whole story together. Each crumb is SEI trapping a little lithium, a particle cracking, a fleck of lithium plating into dead metal. Multiply the crumbs by 1,000 cycles, and you get that aging curve we started with. Now the hopeful turn. Aging is a thief, but it's a thief whose habits we know cold, and that means we can slow it down. 4 simple levers. 1. Keep it cool. Since the damage roughly doubles every 10 degrees, just keeping a battery cool can nearly double how long it lasts. 2. Don't store it full. 40 to 60% charge keeps the chemistry away from where SEI feeds fastest. 3. Take shallow sips, not deep gulps. That 20 to 80 habit can multiply your cycles several times over, for giving up just a little range. 4. Charge smart. Plating loves cold and speed, so let a cold battery warm up before you fast charge it, and the dead lithium thief stays asleep. None of this stops aging entirely. The SEI leak runs forever. That's just physics. But the gap between a battery that dies in 3 years and one that lasts 12 is almost all about how it was treated. Cool, half full, gently used, warmed before a fast charge. We can't make the thief vanish, but we can absolutely make it patient. So there's our thief caught in the act. Aging is the slow theft of a battery's capacity and power. We track it with state of health, and we call the battery worn out when it falls to 80%. 2 kinds of loss: lithium goes missing, and the material itself wears out. The main thief is that SEI skin. It forms because the electrolyte starts breaking down well above graphite's voltage, and it steals lithium on a schedule that slows down but never quite stops. Particles crack, plated lithium dies, and somewhere down the road, that sudden knee can drop the floor out. But we can read it all from outside with impedance and DQ/DV, and we can slow it with 4 simple levers: cool, half full, shallow, and warm before a fast charge. Your battery's whole life is shaped by its very first charge. How fast that plays out, though, is up to us. Next time, episode 5, we leave graphite behind and ask what comes next. Solid electrolytes, silicon, sodium, the batteries of tomorrow. I'm Faraday. Keep asking where the lithium goes.